Greetings, good people. What's up? What's happening? My name is Dr. Clarence and welcome back to TV7 Live, where we get to give you all the hottest and top trending topics. Has the Zimbabwe president Sean Mnangagwa taken over the Southern African Development, the SADC, again? What is happening? And we're seeing this news that is trending everywhere. Sean Mnangagwa slides in for elevation as VP Chiwenga's wife Baloyi is reassigned. What does this all mean? We're seeing even here, we see an article by ZimI titled Sean Mnangagwa slides in for elevation as Baloyi is reassigned. What is about to happen? ZDF moved to explain the removal of VP Chiwenga's wife from strategic intelligence post. She had outstayed the job for more than 6 years.
We had called,
and obviously we'll talk about Love More Madhuku. So here what we see is happening: core restructuring and key personnel movements. Officer Colonel Minnie Baloyi, previous current role, intelligence post, military intelligence department reassignment, possible brigadier promotion. Fidelis Monda, presidential guard commander. Again, potential move is chief of staff Sean Mnangagwa, major at the Staff College, probably to move to commanding officer presidential guard. And then Walter Tafumane probably will be moved to become the Zimbabwe Defence Forces commander. He's currently the Zimbabwe Army commander. Command realignment. The command realignment security architecture in the year 2026. The silent shift. The month of March 2026 has brought with it a series of calibrated adjustments within the Zimbabwe Defence Forces ZDF. While official state media often frames these as routine administrative rotations, seasoned observers of the Zimbabwean political scene recognize the silent restructuring that has become a hallmark of the current administration. The security establishment is the bedrock of Zimbabwe's state. From the liberation struggle of the 1960s and the 1970s to the transition in 2017, the military has remained the ultimate arbiter of political stability in the nation of Zimbabwe. Now, in this context, the reassignment of General Chiwenga's wife, Colonel Minnie Baloyi, and the rising profile of Major Sean Mnangagwa are not just human resources updates, they are strategic signals. For 6 years, Colonel Minnie Baloyi occupied a pivotal role within the Military Intelligence Directorate.
In the opposition, you
Intelligence is the currency of power in Harare, and the Military Intelligence Department and the Zimbabwe Defence Forces houses act as the central nervous system for the country's security reporter. As a central processing point, Baloyi was positioned as the intersection of reports coming from both the Army and the Air Force intelligence wings. Now the rotation narrative. The military's official stance is that Baloyi had overstayed in a post typically held for 3 years. While technically true, the timing amidst broader shift suggests a desire to refresh the gatekeepers of sensitive information. The honorable exit, the circulating memo suggesting her promotion to brigadier before retirement, points to a managed transition. In military diplomacy, promoting an officer before they exit is a way to maintain institutional harmony while clearing the path for new leadership. Now the rise of the new guard, Fidelis Monda and Walter Tafumane. The movement at the top reflects a loyalty-first doctrine. The potential elevation of Brigadier General Fidelis Monda, the current commander of the Presidential Guard, to Chief of Staff, would place a battle-hardened loyalist at the center of the operational coordination. Furthermore, the November 2025 appointment of Lieutenant General Asha Walter Tafumane as commander of the Zimbabwe National Army, succeeding Emmanuel Madhuku, signals a consolidation of the blue-eyed boys. Tafumane is widely regarded as a strategic thinker with deep ties to the current presidency, ensuring that the ground forces remain aligned with the executive vision for 2030. Sean Mnangagwa and the virtue of legacy. One of the most debated topics in Zimbabwean social media cycles is the rise of Sean Mnangagwa. However, a sober analysis suggests that the hate directed at him is often misplaced and fueled by a lack of understanding of institutional continuity. A professional soldier's path. Sean Mnangagwa did not simply appear in a uniform. He is currently a student at the Zimbabwe Staff College undertaking Joint Command and Staff course. This is a grueling senior level academic tactical program required for any officer aspiring to higher command. By subjecting himself to this training, Sean is following the professional path required by the Zimbabwe Defence Forces. The logic of legacy. In Zimbabwe, we often hear the term dynasty used as a slur, but why? In every successful civilization, from monarchies of Europe to the political families of the United States and the business empires of Asia, sons and daughters follow their father's footsteps. Knowledge transfer. Growing up in a household defined by the liberation struggle and statecraft provides a unique education that no university can offer. Institutional memory. Sean Mnangagwa isn't just the president's son. He is he's a Zimbabwean citizen who has chosen the most disciplined career path possible, and that is the military. Now, what can we learn from this? A lesson for all Zimbabweans. The rise of Sean Mnangagwa should serve as a mirror for the nation. Instead of criticizing a son for honoring his father's profession, Zimbabweans should look at their own origins. Return to the roots. If your father was a farmer, why are you sitting in a cafe in Harare complaining about the economy instead of being on the land? The trap of naivety. The young Zimbabwean have become naive political followers. They follow the opposition not because the opposition has a better economic plan, but because they have been taught to be against things. Opposition is not a direction, it is a reaction. Legacy is a direction. So, follow your father's footsteps. Just as we see, Sean Mnangagwa is following his own father's footsteps, so we cannot hate him for that. Enter the Madhuku factor.
We had called a consultative meeting of the NCA leadership from across the country, and we were at our head office. We wanted them to start our meeting to look at the Constitutional Amendment number 3 and to confirm our stance that we are opposed to it, and that we will do everything to stop it. So when we were waiting for most of our people to come, and then that's why some people come anymore.
Chair. Let the doctor. Let the doctor. Let the doctor.
While the military focuses on discipline and restructuring, the civilian political space is often cluttered by stunts. Professor Madhuku is a prime example of this phenomenon. The pattern of Madhuku.
In the opposition, you find the people wanting to make money out of nothing. You have Madhuku. I don't know what Madhuku actually, what he leads. It's called the NCA. Anounganiza vanhu 2 panapa 3 apa. Madhuku is going to do this, is going to cause disturbances, and anenge atsvaizvo asisina mari. You see? And wongonomira munzira wako.
This is back in the Mugabe days. From 2000 to 2011, for 11 years, leading the NCA successfully challenging the constitution, yet simultaneously facing criticism for amending the NCA's own constitution to extend his own term. So in the NCA, Madhuku is still the leader since the Mugabe days, and he is contesting constitutional amendment. Then the Pollard era, moving from fiery activists to participant in the political actors dialogue, which many see as a way to remain relevant in the shadow of the ruling party. He was part of the Pollard, the recent assault controversy. The reports of Madhuku being attacked in March 2026 have once again placed him in the spotlight. While any violence is regrettable, many observers point to Madhuku's history of intentional provocation, as once described by former leadership, to draw international donor attention when political capital is low. Now, the problem for Zimbabwe, these stunts create noise that distracts from real development. When a constitutional lawyer spends more time in the theater than in legal reform, the country loses. It reinforces the idea that Zimbabwean politics is about personalities and who can shout the loudest, rather, who can build the strongest institutions. Moving towards 2030, the restructuring of the Zimbabwe Army from the military intelligence department to the presidential guard is about stability. By placing trained, loyal, and legacy-driven individuals in key positions, the state is ensuring that the transition towards 2030 vision is not derailed by stunts or naive followership. Now, the way forward, fellow Zimbabweans, we must stop the hate, respect the professional journey of officers who are trained like Sean Mnangagwa, even though he is Emerson Mnangagwa's son. Number 2, focus on legacy. Follow your own families and your own father's footsteps. Build your family strength and reject directionless opposition. Understand that being against something is not the same as having a plan to build something. Being against ZANU-PF and Mnangagwa is not the same as having a plan. I'm not saying support him or not. What I'm saying is, let us not be victims of political naivety. Let us not be naive as a nation. As we're seeing all this happening right now, fellow Zimbabweans, if you don't do anything, what happens to you is that which will happen to you, whether you like it or not. And the big question is, Zimbabwe still the boss? Is Zimbabwe still the SADC chair? Is Zimbabwe still the SADC boss? Or just the loudest person in the room? What is happening? You have seen the headlines, you have seen the motorcades, you have seen the new tarmac at the airport. That is so smooth, it feels like driving on a cloud that disappears the moment you enter Mbare. Everyone is asking, is Zimbabwe the SADC chair again? The answer is no, but also yes, but it is mostly no. Are you confused? Good. That's exactly how the SADC Secretariat likes it. Now let's break it down right now in this deep dive into why Zimbabwe is basically the ex-chair who refused to give back the house keys. The rotation of doom. Who is actually in charge? In the world of SADC, the chairmanship rotates every year like a restless sleeper. August 2024 to August 2025. This is the year of the crocodile. Zimbabwe took over from Angola, and for 12 months Harare was the Washington DC of Southern Africa. We built a new parliament building that looks like a spaceship landed in Mount Hamden, and we told everyone we were the future. August 2025, President Mnangagwa flew over to Madagascar to hand over the gavel to President Andry Rajoelina. It was supposed to be the end of the show. Zimbabwe was officially the outgoing chair. Now the twist. Madagascar became a bit of a mess. Internal politics there got so spicy that by November 2025, they essentially said we can't do this anymore. Enter President Cyril Ramaphosa. Because South Africa was the deputy chair, they stepped up to the interim chair until August 2026. So, officially South Africa is the boss, but the roster, Zimbabwe is being the outgoing chair, is like the one guest at the party who says they are leaving at 10 p.m. but at 2 a.m. they're still in the kitchen, frying your eggs and telling you how to organize your spice racks. We are not the chair, but we are the Troika member, which is basically the SADC version of a consultant. And we all know what consultants do. They tell you what you already know, but with a more expensive suit. The host with the most meetings and potholes. Even though we are not the chair, President Sean Mnangagwa has been hosting SADC meetings in Zimbabwe throughout February and March 2026. Sustainable Energy Week in Victoria Falls. We hosted a conference on energy transition in a country where the most common way to transition energy is from grid power to candlelight. Senior officials meeting just this week. Harare has been crawling with delegates. Why do we keep hosting? Because when you host a meeting, you get to fix the road outside your house and call it regional infrastructure development. If we host enough SADC meetings, eventually the entire road to the president's farm will be paved in gold. We are like the person who doesn't have a job but insists on hosting the family reunion. So everyone thinks that we are doing great. Look at the new parliament. Don't look at the exchange rate. Look at the buffet. Please ignore the 18-hour power cut. Now, the interim chaos, Zambia is waiting in the wings. While South Africa is holding the gavel and Zimbabwe is holding the snakes, President Hakainde Hichilema of Zambia is sitting in the corner like the younger brother, waiting for his turn on the PlayStation. He was appointed interim incoming chairperson in December 2025. Zambia and Zimbabwe relationship right now is like two brothers fighting over a bull. Wow, we are brothers, but every time HH talks about democracy and clean elections, Harare looks at him like he's speaking a dead language. By August 2026, Hakainde Hichilema takes over. Between now and then, it's a battle of the egos. Mnangagwa wants to leave a legacy. Ramaphosa wants to look like the regional big brother, and Hakainde Hichilema just wants to make sure everyone follows the rules, which is the most annoying thing you can do in a SADC meeting. Now, why does this matter for you? Now, this is the real talk. You might be thinking, why do I care who sits in the fancy chair in Gaborone? It matters because SADC chair sets the tone for elections and economic policy. When Zimbabwe was the chair, we talked about innovation in industrialization. Now, we are the outgoing chair. We are using our influence to push the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3, the 7-year term. And SADC is supposed to be a community, but right now it feels more like a support group for incumbent. Hello, my name is Emerson and I have a 2030 addiction. Hello, Emerson. The group replies in unison. We are becoming the SADC chair of hosting parties we can't afford. We spend millions on delegates while the average Zimbabwean is doing project-based learning on how to survive on $2 a day. So the question, is Zimbabwe the chair? No. Are we acting like the chair? Yes. Is South Africa actually doing the work? Probably. Is Zambia annoyed? Most definitely.
Out of nothing. You have Madhuku. I don't know what Madhuku actually, he leads. It's called the NCA. Anounganidza vanhu 2 panapa 3 apa. Madhuku is going to do this, is going to cause disturbances, and anenge atsvaizvo asisina mari. You see? And wongonomira munzira
leadership from across the country, and we were at our head office. We wanted then to start our meeting to look at the constitutional amendment number 3.
Madhuku, the professor of political performance art. Madhuku, the eternal opposition chameleon. 1 minute you are causing up to the powers that through Pollard political actors dialogue. The next, you are playing the battered hero in a drama that reeks of low budget Nollywood. Now let us roast this. Now let us roast this constitutional drama right about now. Yes, this constitutional lawyer turned apparent stuntman. If you're assaulted by balaclava wearing misery men while police allegedly sipped tea and watched was real, why does it feel like a scripted episode of Survivor Zimbabwe edition? You've got a history of flip-flopping, from drafting constitutions to criticizing them, from aligning with the regime to suddenly becoming its arch enemies over term limits. Is this your way of auditioning for a martyrdom medal? Come on, Professor. If you're going to stage a beat down for sympathy points, at least hire better actors. Those masked assailants sound like they borrowed the outfit from a Halloween clearance sale. You are not fooling anyone who has seen your track record. Mugabe himself called you out for your tricks back in the day. And here you are allegedly turning a party meeting into a PT party. Why this smells like pure theatrics? Now, let us debate this head on. Is the Madhuku incident a genuine attack or just high-stakes theatrics designed to stir the pot? On one side, reports from credible organizations like Amnesty International described it as a brutal assault on March 1, 2026. Take note, Amnesty International. On March 1, where armed men in balaclavas stormed the NCA meeting in Harare, beating Madhuku and others with batons right in front of passive police officers, all amid opposition to the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3, which aims to extend the presidential terms from 5 to 7 years and potentially allow Mnangagwa more time in power. Madhuku himself accused the police of complicity, claiming 2 trucks were parked outside while beatings happened. The Law Society of Zimbabwe condemned it as a violent attack, noting injuries requiring medical attention. Even opposition figures like Job Sikala described it as torture. But flip the script, the theatrics argument holds water, or should I say stage fog. Police flat out denied involvement or even deploying to the scene, calling for more details on what actually transpired. Skeptics on social media and forums label it as a false flag operation, suggesting Madhuku orchestrated it to pivot from regime-friendly lawyer to international victim, discrediting the amendment bill before it hits the courts. One ex-post calls it sympathy politics, implying it's staged to fit a narrative of state repression. Another outright dubs it fake and dramatized for attention, echoing Mugabe's old warnings about the Madhuku antics. Even back in the Mugabe days, we see him then. Critics point out the timing right after the bill's gazetting. This attack conveniently amplified the anti-government outrage. If it's real, why no arrest or deeper probe? If staged, it's a masterclass in manipulation, but one that risks backfiring by exposing opposition, infighting, or desperation. Either way, the debate boils down to trust. In a country where facts twist like a Harare traffic jam, theatrics aren't just possible, they are probable. Now, this theatrics fuels national instability. Whether genuine or gimmick, this Madhuku saga is like tossing a lit match into Zimbabwe's already flammable political tinderbox. It breeds instability by eroding trust, amplifying divisions, and inviting chaos. If it is theatrics, it undermines the real victims of political violence. It undermines everything, making every future claim suspect and giving the regime ammo to dismiss critics as crybabies. False flags like this allegedly stir unnecessary panic, rallying international outrage. Hello amnesty calls for probes, while domestically fueling cynicism. Is this another opposition stunt that distracts ripples out? Investors flee a unstable nation. Opposition unity fractures as fingers point at the government hardens, cracking down harder on assemblies under the guise of maintaining order. Even if real, the policies inaction or denial expose state complicity, encouraging vigilante violence and weakening the rule of law, result a nation on the edge. While every meeting risks escalation, economic wars deepen. Hello, more sanction threats and social fabric phrase, all because of one assault, becomes a symbol of either repression or ruse, polarizing everyone from Harare streets to global forums. Now, if we take a look at Zimbabwe's history, crisis in Zimbabwe escalates in hours. Zimbabwe's history is a masterclass of how panic sparks crisis that explodes in mere hours, turning whispers to unrest into full-blown meltdowns. Take the 2000 farm invasions after Mugabe's ZANU-PF lost a constitutional referendum in February. Panic over eroding power. War veterans and supporters invaded white-owned farms within days, escalating to widespread violence, farm seizures, and economic free fall. Hyperinflation hit by 2008, with the GDP contracting 72% from 2000 to 2008. What started as post-referendum jitters ballooned into a land reform disaster that starved the economy overnight. It was simply yes for the new constitution, yes or no, and then farm invasion. 2008, the entire economy collapses. Or even the 2008 post-election violence, panic after Mugabe trailed in the March presidential vote which led to Operation Mavoterepi. Where did you vote? Within hours of results leaking, ZANU-PF militias unleashed beatings, killing over 200 deaths and displacements, forcing a runoff, boycott, and power sharing deal. Hyperinflation, which peaked at 89.76 trillion% that year. Billions and trillions of money were printed, turning panic into an economic apocalypse. Overnight. So let us remember our history, fellow Zimbabweans, how this civil unrest can trigger panic in hours, sparking shortages, panic buying, and brutal currency devaluation, often turning economic grumbles into full crisis overnight. Panonesa fuel Zimbabwe, the shortage begins to happen overnight. It's a matter of a few hours. Even if we go back in time to 1997, 1998, the Black Friday and food riots, pakatanga kukwira chingwa, and budgeted payouts to war veterans, $50,000 triggered investor panic. On 14 November 1997, Black Friday, the Zimbabwe dollar crashed, losing 75% of its value against the US in one day. Currency devaluation fueled inflation spikes. By January 1998, maize meal price hikes after millers raised costs sparked nationwide riots and civil unrest. Panic buying emptied the shelves of basics. Shortages of food, shortages of fuel, forex became pervasive within days. The currency slide accelerated, setting the stage for longer-term instability. That is the year 1998, before the MDCs formed in 1999. From 2007 to 2008, hyperinflation peak, government price controls, forcing 50% cuts on basics, backfired spectacularly, shops emptied as retailers refused to restock at a loss. Bakosi, panic buying swept through Harare, and beyond hours, long queues formed. Those were the days. We now had the silo, we're yellow, and the government is talking about restructuring the grain marketing board, new silos, and new structures for the GMB. It all didn't work. Inflation explodes to 89.76 trillion% year on year. In November 2008, the Zimbabwe dollar became worthless. $100 trillion note couldn't buy a bus fare. Shortages hit everything: food, medicine, petrol, and Zimbabwe has never recovered ever since. The currency was abandoned in 2009 for foreign ones. Entered the GNU. Mugabe and Tsvangirai the government of national unity. Then things stabilized until 2014. 2014, where we see indigenization, and Kasukwere is the Minister of Indigenization, the Mugabe era. Then 2017, Mugabe is removed. Now from 2017 to 2019, cash and fuel crisis, cash shortages. It's now 1 year after 2016. John Mnangagwa and Chinamasa had introduced the $2 and the $5 bond note. By June, it had devalued by 600%. Now, in January 2019, a 200% fuel price hike to tackle shortages sparked unrest, led to protests, looting, and more panic. The bond notes and the RTGS dollar devalued rapidly against the USD. Inflation hit 175%. By mid-2019, shortages of fuel, medicines, and goods depend in hours after announcement, with parallel markets thriving. Then the ZIG devaluation 2 years ago, in 2024, a sharp devaluation of the new Zimbabwe gold triggered immediate panic buying and shortages of basics. Civil servants pay lost value overnight. We're talking of 2 years ago. Prices surged, shelves emptied in 2024 as people rushed to spend before further drops. Now we are in 2026 and we tolerate these theatrics. Fellow Zimbabweans, we need to learn from where we have come from. This is where we are right now, and we're seeing still the same players are still playing us because of our political naivety. All right, fellow Zimbabweans, as we sign out, let us have a heart-to-heart. Yes, real cash talk, straight up talk. If you understand the business of Zimbabwean politics, you have to look past the slogans and look at the lunch boxes. In the world of TV7 Live, we call this SADC and sovereignty trade. And it's why placing your hope in a political savior is quite frankly a primitive, a backward way to live. Now, here's the breakdown of how the rent-a-rally system works and why it's time to stop expecting a miracle from the ballot box. The pay-to-play system, how supporters are manufactured. It is no secret in Zimbabwe. Political crowds are often purchased. This isn't just a ZANU-PF thing. It's a systematic exploitation of the country's poverty. The chicken and chips incentive. For many, attending a rally isn't about ideology. It is about a guaranteed meal. And what can you say? But this keeps us hooked on this cycle where we are right now. In a country with 80% unemployment, a piece of fried chicken and a 2-liter bottle of drink is a high-value transaction. Busing and allowance. People are often bussed in from rural areas to fill up stadiums in Harare, Bulawayo. They are given a per diem allowance that might be $5 to $10 to a politician. That's a cheap way to look popular for the cameras. To a citizen, that $10 is school fees or cooking oil. The t-shirt economy, political regalia, is the only free clothing many people can get. You see people wearing a ZANU-PF shirt at a CCC rally or vice versa because they are not loyal to the party. They are loyal to the fabric. We have turned our democracy into a gig economy. Being a supporter is now a part-time job with terrible benefits and no pension. If you are the only there because of the chicken, if you are only there because of the chicken, you are not a voter. You are a customer. Why putting hope in politics is primitive. When we say it's primitive, to put all your hopes in politics, we mean that it relies on an outdated messiah complex. The idea that one man, the crocodile, the pastor, the general, will descend from the podium and fix your life. The big man trap, believing that a change in leadership automatically equals a change in your pocket, is a fairy tale. Politics is about power, not philanthropy. When you put your hope in a person, you become the subject. When you put your hope in a system and skills, you become their equal. The perpetual election mode. Zimbabweans have been in election mode since 1980. We spent 5 years waiting for one day and then 5 years complaining about that one day. This is a primitive cycle. While we wait for the change, the rest of the world is building AI, exploring space, and mastering digital economy. The digital economy. Dependency is slavery. Dependency is slavery. If you wait for a politician to create jobs, you are giving them power to keep you unemployed. If you wait for them to fix roads, you are giving them power to keep you stranded. Real development is bottom up, not top down. We need to be progressive and stop being primitive. If you're still waiting for a politician to change your life, you are essentially waiting for a wolf to start a vegetarian restaurant. It's not going to happen. The most primitive thing you can do is to give your mind away for a $5 bill and a dusty bus ride to a stadium. The politicians are not saving Zimbabwe. They are competing for the keys to the treasury. The only person who can save your future is the one you see in the mirror every morning before the power goes out. Until we begin to understand that, that's where we can build our nation from the bottom up, not from the top down. Dr. Clarence, TV7 Live, broadcasting under the state of the kingdom of heaven. I'm out.